Her days do not collapse, they dissolve, not with violence, with patience. One morning slipping into the next, each one a little softer at the edges than the one before. She does not wake with urgency. She wakes when the light decides she should, when sound from the village drifts through the gap in the doorway of whatever shelter she has found that night. There is no hatred in how she lives, no dramatic wound visible from the outside, just days that arrive without her choosing them. She has told herself many things over the years that people in her position do not rebuild, that starting over requires a kind of internal resource she spent long ago, that the moment for a different life exists somewhere ahead, after warmth, after a roof, after something solid beneath her feet. These are not dramatic lies, they are quiet ones, the kind you stop noticing because they blend into the texture of the day. And so she waits, not for rescue, not for anything in particular. She waits because waiting feels like the only reasonable response to a life that has been happening without her permission. There is a moment, and she cannot name when it first arrives, where something small shifts, not inside her chest, not in her thinking. It is more like a decision that forms before she has language for it, a refusal so quiet she almost misses it. One morning, before the village stirs, she rises, not because she is ready, not because something has changed. She rises because the alternative, staying still, waiting again, lending one more morning to the current, feels worse than the cold. She does not light the hearth. She does not eat. She steps outside while the sky is still dark at the edges and blue above, and she stands in the quiet as if learning its dimensions. That is all. She stands there, and then the day begins. Identity forms where no one is watching. The second morning is no easier than the first. The third is perhaps harder. Cold deepens before the season turns. Sleep pulls with more authority than purpose does at that hour. She does not call what she is doing discipline. She does not yet call it anything. It is simply an action she repeats before deciding whether to repeat it. A small vote she casts before the argument has fully formed. Mornings in the soft countryside settle into her slowly. The mist that lingers along the lower fields, the way sound carries differently in the cold, the particular silence that belongs only to the hour before the bakers begin, before the animals wake, before children push through their doors with their voices already loud. She learns the texture of that silence. She learns it the only way available to her, by being present inside it repeatedly without reward. There are mornings she negotiates. She bargains with the cold, with the ache behind her knees, with the thought that nothing has changed, that the street still waits, that no one has seen her effort and no one will. She picks it up one morning and holds it, not drinking, just holding. And there is something in the act of holding a simple object steadily that clarifies something she cannot quite name. That action and outcome are separated by more distance than most people are willing to wade across. That the work is not the waiting for the work to matter, the work is the work. She sets the cup down, she goes outside. Weeks pass, then more weeks. Nothing changes publicly. A woman rises before light in a borrowed space. She stands in the cold. She breathes. The village does not know. The village does not care. But something is forming underneath. Not confidence. That word is too heavy. Something closer to alignment. A slow matching of her outer movement to something interior that has always known what she was capable of and has been waiting patiently for her to remember it too. She stops negotiating with the clock, not because the cold has stopped being cold, not because the effort has stopped requiring effort, but because at some point she crosses a line so unremarkable she does not notice it, the line between choosing to rise and simply rising, between deciding and being the kind of person who has already decided. This is where the doctrine settles into the body, not as a belief, as a pattern, not as inspiration, as structure. Each morning is a vote, not for ambition, not for transformation, for continuity, for the quiet claim that she is a person who authorizes her own mornings. That is enough. That, for now, is everything. One morning, the bakery woman, who has seen her on the path for some weeks now without comment, calls across the lane. She needs someone steady in the early hours, someone already awake, someone whose presence she has learned to trust through its simple consistency. The work is modest. The hours are the hours she has already claimed. She accepts, not with ceremony, not with relief so large it collapses into weeping. She accepts the way you accept something that feels correct, with a recognition so quiet it is almost indistinguishable from simply continuing. The world does not announce what it is doing when it responds to structure, it simply begins to reflect it back. A door that was not open before is open. A person who did not know her name now knows when to expect her. A small, warm place to sit. Work that begins at the hour she has already chosen every morning for weeks. Structure made space. The space became something she could stand inside. She does not rise at 5 in the morning now to fix anything. She rises because this is who she is. The morning is not effort. It is not discipline in the way that word sounds from the outside, an urgent, grinding, demanding. It is simply continuity, the same quiet vote she has cast, without applause, without audience, without certainty of return, cast again and again and again. Identity forms where no one is watching. That is not a warning, it is an invitation.